I will hit record right now. Okay, ladies, I want you to smile greatly because we are being seen. Well, we're not streaming yet. Let's get, okay, a very classy show. We have sound effects. Very, very classy. Okay, and now we can open the show. Dance with me. Come on, ladies. Let's see those moves.
Welcome to Read My Lips
Oh, my
Radio,
goodness.
a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters,
Miriam, you're killing
directors,
me.
and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's AKA Radio Red.
Thank you very much to the voice of Ryan Treasure, who's got me on the air for years and years and years. I'm Radio Red. It's Monday. Where else would I be? Seriously, this is used to be Read My Lips. Now it's the Creativity Show. Happy to be here. I have another name, but everybody's going to call me Red or Radio Red. I assemble very interesting creatives on Monday for this show, and we talk in brief sound bites about what we do, what inspires us, what moves us, what muses make us do what we do. To me, creativity is not, are you a painter or a dancer or a musician? We're all just creating our lives. I didn't come with a handbook, and I don't think most of you did either. So there we go. Before we get started, I want my guests, and I haven't rehearsed this, so let's see how well you do. And Jordan, my engineer at Voice America Media, is keeping track. So, ladies, I want you to put your finger up in the shape of the letter L. Either one or both hands would be fine. And on the count of three, follow me at the correct pace. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. You're going to join me in saying hello, L, L, L. And I'll tell you who that is. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Jordan, I think we hired the Andrews sisters from like 80 years ago. That was the most, Jordan, put them at the top of the number one best ever. I don't know what the three, we didn't rehearse this. I didn't even tell you about it, but I'm extremely impressed. So thank you all very much. Chose over. No, you did really great. Okay, that is LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. She's not feeling well these days, but she's been a loyal follower of the show for years and years and years. And when she's feeling really good, she will send me a little book report. And she'll tell me what Miriam said. And she'll tell me what Diane said. And she'll tell me what Michelle said. And I'm hoping we'll hear from her tonight at 6:01 p.m. I'll get an email from her. I'm sure I will. And today is November 17th already. Let's see if I have some statistics here on the date. I should be ready to read these to you, but I only have about 12 pages of notes here. So let's see where we are. It is, come on, you can do this, Red. Okay. We're just not going to go with that part. I'm just going to tell you that today we have some very, very special. Oh, it's November 17th. Here we go. Forgive me. It's the 321st day of the Gregorian year 2025. And Michelle and Diane and Miriam, did you know that it used to be the Julian calendar and Julian didn't make room for the first week or two of October? People didn't get to celebrate their birthdays. That was a big boo-hoo. So along came Gregorian and he said to his mom, I'm going to be a creative because I know in 1,000 years somebody named Radio Red is going to talk about me on something called streaming. And even though there's no wires, she's going to tell the world about me. And he said, I'm going to put back October. So he said, we're going to have a leap year. Every fourth year, we're going to add one day. One leap day every fourth year, and we're going to be aligned with the moon and the tides and the stars, and all the people in October at Like Radio Red will have her birthday back. And I thought that was very, very special of him. There are 44 days left, and ladies, if you're planning something special for New Year's Eve, get on with it now because, Michelle, I have a feeling you might be making bootleg whiskey or what used to be in the back of the barn there. I want you to start. And Miriam, if you're making Kahlua, you got to get those spices, and it's going to take a while. And Diane, you look like you might be ordering some special champagne or bubbly online. The shelves will be bare very soon. So it is time. I always do this at the end of the year. We are in the Western zodiac of Scorpio. Is anybody a Scorpio here? Do we need a birthday shout out? Nobody? Okay. Well, I'll tell you who shout outs for today before I introduce all you. Danny DeVito, the actor, is 81 years old today. And Rachel McAdams, the actress, is 47. What? And Tom Ellis, oh, he played Lucifer. Oh, I fell in love with him. He's 47. He's Rachel McAdams' brother from another mother. Leslie Bibb, the actress, is 52. Martin Scorsese, who doesn't know that name? Acclaimed director. He's 83. Happy birthday. And I have to tell you, there's a young man named Presley Lee, Lea. He's 18 today. He's on YouTube, and I don't want you all to get upset, lady, but he has 1.3 billion views on his YouTube channel.
Wow.
Yes, I know. He posts videos about Adopt Me Roblox modification. Roblox, the gaming, and he hacks and he has insights into the games. And one of his most popular videos was viewed over 2 million times with a secret code for an animal. I don't even know what that is, but we have to say Presley with a Z, happy birthday. Okay, now I have a special gift for each of you. So listen along, and when I call your name, just wave. There'll be a couple of times you'll hear your name. So welcome to the Creativity Show, where stories ignite. akaRadioRed on her Scarlett Mic is leading bright. The Feistiness of Creativity takes the stage today. That's in honor of all three of you, where wonder and wisdom are lighting the way. Michelle Clifton, author who hosts Escape Places. Miriam Ortiz y Pino, organizer of People Spaces. Diane Heiler, whose heart sought love once more, share their journeys that spark creativity galore. With laughter and insight, imagination anew, a dazzling hour we're bringing to you. And now here's the gift for each of you. Michelle, you're up first. Born in Durango, where mountains kiss the sky, Michelle chased adventure with wonder nearby. Oldest of three, with a curious heart, her life was a canvas, her spirit pure art. A dream once of law gave way to motherhood's call. Michelle chose love and laughter, her best path of all. From theater lights to the dental chair's gleam, she mastered each role with drive and a dream. Now palm trees replace Colorado's peaks, where salty inspirations is the joy Michelle seeks. Her cozies bring humor where crime might appear, mysteries with heart, wrapped in warmth and cheer. Through stories, events, and the writers she hails, Michelle sails on words and soon on real sails. For her dream is to write as the sea winds drift, a salty sleuth afloat, Michelle's next literary gift. Michelle, I hope you like that.
That was beautiful. Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And now we go to Miriam. Miriam, you ready? All set?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to read. Here we go. In Taos, Miriam began with bright beads in her hand, a child who saw systems few could understand. From Montessori days to Santa Fe halls, she organized life from classrooms to malls. With music and motion, Miriam's spirit would grow. Flute, cheer, and soccer, her rhythm and flow. A book lover diving through stories each week, mists of Avalon. Magic spoke to the truth Miriam would seek. From marketing paths to pop culture delight, Miriam studied how patterns made chaos take flight. In offices bustling, she'd streamline the strain, then built her own vision, more than organized by name. Now, 25 years later, she's crafting to please, productivity's purpose, financial ease. She connects what we miss, time, money, and mind, so creativity flows unburdened and refined. Miriam?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was lovely.
I'm glad. Diane, you ready? You're up
I'm
next.
ready.
Okay, here we go. Diane, also with the red hair. Love it, by the way. Here we go. In Dade City's warmth, where friendships stay true, Diane grew up knowing what courage could do. A redhead with spark, full of laughter and art, she led with a smile and her confident heart. A cheerleader, a dreamer with stories to tell, she painted her life in bold colors that swell. From wife and young mother to business success, Diane built her own future through drive and finesse. For 21 years, she sold dreams and keys, a broker of homes and of destinies. Through single mom storms, she stood tall, unafraid, with grace and resilience, her legacy made. Then grief struck her heart, her world redefined. But out of that sorrow, new strength Diane would find. She wrote A Widow's Fire and lit her path once more, a phoenix of passion, desire, renewal, and love to explore. Diane?
You honor me.
I'm-
Thank you.
I'm very happy you liked it. So gather round where the cool vibes and the cool kids sway as we dive deep into creativity today, aka AkaRadioRed's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, to love life, and to play. So, ladies, what'd you think? Pretty good?
Pretty good.
I was not
Amazing.
expecting it, but it was great.
I always do my gifts. I do this on all my shows. I do gifts from, I call these my gifts. And I have a collaborator named Sylvie, and I'll tell you after the show who she is. And we compose these rhymes together. I don't call them poems, I just call them rhyming origin stories. And we work together. And sometimes she leaves some stuff out, and I go back and say, no, 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 you missed that. I don't like that. I'll change the rhymes, I'll change the rhythm, all that good stuff. So I'll tell you and probably figure out who she is. So let's go around the table briefly. First, Michelle, then Miriam, and then Diane. And let me find out, is there anything else about your origin story that I didn't include? It was only a 16-line rhyme, for goodness sake. I mean, how could I leave anything out? But Michelle, I'm putting you on speaker view just for a minute or two. And just, is there anything else you'd like to highlight in your life for everybody to know about? Welcome and go ahead.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. You did a great job, honestly. Very good job. The only thing to add to that is, my daughter was a dancer, and that's kind of what put me into the theater industry. The dental industry was first before my kids were born, and then shortly after. Helped me to get very organized and helped me to get creative. I mean, I was backstage managing shows. Talk about lights, camera, action. It was a blast, and it was a piece of my heart that will live forever there. The only other thing that I didn't say is that I did get lucky and marry the love of my life. He's the most amazing husband that I could ever ask for, and he supports all of this creative adventure. So whatever crazy creative thing I decide to do, he's on board 100%. And then my cozy mysteries are becoming my new life as an empty nester.
That's wonderful. And tell me briefly, who's that lady behind you, Taryn O'Kelly? Who is she?
Taryn O'Kelly is my protagonist.
Yes.
She is the heroine of my books. She's 26. She's a little bit like I was probably at 26, but maybe a little more bold than I was at doing a few different things. I certainly didn't find any bodies at age 26. So she finds bodies at all of her party planning. She's an event coordinator, Miriam. You should like that. She's all about planning and having everything organized. So when things don't go quite her way, it really throws her for a bit of a loop.
And I want to ask you, who designs the covers of your books? I'm looking at the covers and they're just delightful. Who's your designer? Do you do it?
I do it, actually.
Very, very, very pretty. Very nice. There's so much energy and life in the covers. Life with the word corpses. I'm looking at that. Okay, yeah. But they're very nice. They're jumping off the page, jumping off the background. Very nicely done, Michelle. And welcome,
Thank you.
welcome, welcome. And let's go to Miriam. Miriam, I'm putting you on speaker view. Welcome. And I'm trying to stay organized here because you're the pro in this field. So, Miriam, tell us a little more about yourself, please.
Let's see. Recovering perfectionist, music lover, dancer. I watch a lot of TV, and I simplify things wherever I go.
Tell me a little bit more about this organizing. Did you decide to organize because you needed it yourself and you met people who did, or what about it? What's your favorite thing to organize? Give me a little more.
I will organize almost anything, but I like stuff because it's very quick and visual. But I end up doing a lot of paper. And it's a little bit like solving a mystery sometimes, Michelle. It's like, oh, what does all these things say? Oh, it's a story, and we got to create the story from the things. And I think that's why I love organizing. It's about curating someone's story. It's not really about the stuff at all.
Interesting. Do you find patterns when you look through these papers? Do you find things that people need to? I assume these are for your clients. Yes?
Yes. I can tell a lot about people from the clutter they collect and what they avoid dealing with.
I've never heard it put quite that way, Miriam. I can tell a lot about the clutter people collect. Very, very interesting. Okay. Are people ever embarrassed do you go back and tell them, I know this about you or that about you? What do you do with that knowledge?
Well, I usually work with them. So I'm like, oh, is this about this? And they are often surprised that I can tell them what it's actually reflecting. Or it's very revealing to them. And it never occurred to them that that's how that aspect of themselves was showing up. So
Very,
It's
very
Works
interesting.
both ends.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, the time when most of us get organized, super organized, is when we decide to move or we have to move our residence after years and years and decades in one place. And all of a sudden we find out what we have that we didn't know or we forgot or we wish we didn't. And we have to do something with it, donate it, toss it, burn
Mm-hmm.
it, put it out on the back porch and hope somebody steals it, put it on the curb, sell it, or pack it up and pay for it to be moved. I think I've covered most of the categories there. Been that, done that several times. And yeah, and people say, oh, you have so much stuff. I say, but I love it all. And we know, who is it? Kondo, Marie
Marie
Kondo
Kondo.
with the K. And she'll say, if you
Mhm.
haven't used something, what, in 6 months or a year, and you don't want to use it in the next, get rid. Well, that doesn't always work for those of us who are passionate about our things. Right. Okay. Thank you, Miriam. Diane, I'm ready for you. I can't get over your hair. It's just spectacular. I'm kind of partial. Okay. Diane, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you please tell us a little more about yourself and welcome?
Well, I tell you, listening to these two ladies, I think, what am I going to say that's exciting? But I think we all have so many chapters in our lives, and we as women become different people at different stages in our lives. And I look back over my life and I think I have so many chapters and I have been so many different people, um, a child, a wife, a single woman, a business person, a mother of four wonderful children, and two wonderful stepsons. And now I'm 82 years old. I'm a
What?
widow and uh, trying to figure out, well, who am I now?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Did you just say that number? Did
Oh, yes, I did.
you did? You
Yes, I did.
are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
We all want to look like you.
Well,
I'm complimenting you, but I'm in shock. Go ahead, Diane. I'm
thank
sorry to
you.
interrupt. Please.
But in my heart, I will always be 18 years old. Um, and so something that you could probably figure out about me is that I am right on the cusp of Leo and Virgo. So the red hair, I was born with red hair. I, at this age, say that I get it naturally refreshed every 5 to 6 weeks. I don't get it dyed, I get it naturally refreshed.
I call it going to the red factory every 4 weeks, just so you know. That's my euphemism. Okay. Very, very interesting. Well, welcome to all of you. You're all very, very interesting. And that's the reason I invited you to be on the show. I don't look for boring, well, I don't know what I'm going to say. I look for people who are proud of where they've been, where they've come from, and still have places to go and things to see and things to do. And that's what creativity is. We call it creativity. It's courageous, it's curiosity. Sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's craziness. But I'm on at least my ninth, maybe my 15th career. Let's just go around the table quickly before we go to the next phase. Michelle, how many quote unquote careers have you had? Could you put a number on them loosely?
Loosely, I'm going to go with 5.
Okay. Well, you're a kid. You're just starting. Miriam, how many careers do you think you've had?
I think 7.
Okay. All right. That's good. Diane?
I have never been asked that, but I think probably 5 or 6 or 7 in that range.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm on 9 or more. I started out, ladies, you don't know this, but I started out as an early woman in tech, which I didn't know until I was asked to be an intro speaker for National Women's Day 2 years ago for the group Women in Big Data. And I was telling these women who were just a fraction of my current age, and I'm not revealing that, but I was asked to talk about my background in technology. I was a mainframe programmer analyst coding in COBOL on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5 mainframe back in the day when I was key punching 2,080 column Hollerith cards and carrying them around in a box to give to the engineer in the control room.
That's what I learned on too.
There you go. There you go. But probably a little bit later than me. And then I actually graduated to where we could actually keystroke our code and working in PL1, which is a language most people haven't heard of, on IBM 4341. Then I got into marketing quite by accident. And one day I discovered I spoke English as well as I spoke computer. And I got into marketing by accident. And then all kinds of things started to happen: radio, TV, stand-up comedy, drummer, band MC, and it just keeps going. And painter, artist, it just keeps going. So I'm enjoying this creativity because my philosophy is, and ladies, I have a feeling you all aspire to this, or you'll recognize it. When a door opens a little bit or a window, see what's on the other side. Right, Michelle? Right, Diane? Right?
Absolutely.
There might be something, an opportunity to do something new or fresh or better or different than you're doing right
I
now.
can't
So
help myself. I
there,
can't help myself.
there
If
you
it's
go.
there,
That's
I'm going to push it open.
exactly. That's the creativity. Leonard Cohen had something about that. I think a crack in the window in one of his poems or one
Oh,
of his
Bill.
songs.
Yes.
Very,
Beautiful.
very
Beautiful.
famous. So let's go around the table now. Let's talk about, I've asked each of you to send me, please, a fictional quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate it to your own creativity a little bit. We'll get to the creativity statements later on, but I want to know about the quote. So Michelle, you're up first, and Michelle has quoted a line from the song "When Will My Life Begin" in Rapunzel. Rapunzel, voiced by Mandy Moore in Tangled, the 2010 animated musical fantasy comedy film. Could they squeeze any more genres in there? All they need is a murder and something else. Produced by Walt Disney Animated Studios, loosely based on the German fairy tale Rapunzel, in the collection of folk tales published by the Brothers Grimm. Okay, very, very interesting. Rapunzel is a creative and spirited young princess with magical 70-foot long blonde hair. Did your hair used to be 70-foot long, Michelle?
Not 70 foot, but I think I'm at least at a good 3 feet right
There,
now.
there
So
you go. Okay, well,
I'm aspiring.
she's locked in a tower by the villain, Mother Gothel, blah, 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 blah. And then Flynn Rider sees the floating highlights and he helps release her. And the film it was the eighth highest grossing film of 2010. There's a franchise, a short film, Tangle Ever After, a video game, a stage musical, a TV show, a live action. Oh my goodness. But I'm going to read a little bit of the lyrics of the song and then I'll get to what you selected, if that's okay with you, Michelle. All right. Listen
Absolutely.
up, everybody. 7 a.m., the usual morning lineup. Start on the chores and sweep till the floor is all clean. Polish and wax, do laundry and mop and shine up, sweep again, and by then it's like 7:15. So I'll read a book or maybe two or three. I'll add a few new paintings to my gallery. I'll play guitar and knit and cook and basically just wonder, when will my life begin? Then after lunch, it's puzzles and darts and baking, paper mache, a bit of ballet and classes, and chess, pottery and ventriloquy, candle making. Then I'll stretch, maybe sketch, take a climb, sew a dress. And here's the line Michelle has picked. And I'll reread the books if I have time to spare. I'm going to stop there. I hope that was okay with you. Okay, Michelle, tell us, how did you pick that and what does this have to do with your creativity? I love the song, by the way. Go.
Honestly, the song is very fitting to me. When the movie first came out, my husband would say that when he'd come home from work, because I actually stayed at home with my kids. I homeschooled my kids, but then also worked a almost full-time job in the evenings. And so he would actually say that when the song came out, he's like, I think this is you. You are the legit Rapunzel. I could never do what you do in one day. And so the song kind of became my personal theme song over the years. And I kind of feel that way when it comes to all the creativity because, gosh, there are so many things I want to learn to do, so many things that I have a passion for, and I feel like there's just never going to be enough time to do it all. So I just dabble a little bit of everything that I possibly can. But the last bit, the last line, the reread the books if I have time to spare, is just more of a attempting to slow down for just a minute, because even though life is so chaotic and I am interested in so many things, and I do feel like I live and breathe that song, at least when my kids were little, for sure. You just want to take a moment, be thankful for what you have, and attempt to just calm yourself for a second and look at all the wonderful things around you.
I like that. And I'm going to wrap a little something around that. You're being creative about your creativity. What do you think?
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad. You don't have to agree with everything I say, by the way, but it's nice when you do. Okay. Miriam, I told you I used to do stand up. Now I just try to be funny sitting down. Once in a while, I'm good at it. Miriam, thank you, Michelle. Miriam is quoting from Buckaroo Banzai, played by Peter Weller in the 1984 adventure sci-fi comedy film. Boy, we're clumping all these genres together. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. That was a long title. Peter Weller, Ellen Barkin was in it, John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, Rosalind Cash. Oh my goodness, I can't even running out of time just making the list here. The film centers on the efforts of the polymath, Dr. Buckaroo Banzai, a physicist, neurosurgeon, talk about careers, physicist, neurosurgeon, test pilot, and rock star to save the world by defeating a band of interdimensional aliens called the Red Lectroids from Planet 10. I'm going to stop right there. It's been adapted like Rapunzel was for books, comics, video game, and has a cult following. And here is the quote Miriam has selected. Don't be mean. No matter where you go, there you are. Oh, there must be a parable in there somewhere. Miriam, how'd you pick this one and what does it mean to you? Go.
Well, I think I always forget about the don't be mean part of it because it's often just quoted as no matter where you go, there you are. But I find that that's part of the problem with my clients when they're organizing. And so I had kind of been saying it for years already. And then when I started working with my clients, they would be like, well, I just wanted it to feel like home. Or if I just change this, everything will be better. Or, there was a lot of kind of running away from who they really were involved with their day-to-day life. And so when I would point out home is where you make it, let's make it here. It was like this simple thing where they were like, oh, I could do that. I have control over that part. I could make that happen. It kind of changed things for a lot of my clients to just point out that we are who we are wherever we go.
I like that.
Yeah. And the don't be mean is, it made me realize that so many of them just beat themselves up with their self-talk. The clutter. Oh, I could have done better. I'm terrible at this. Blah, la, 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 la.
Some of us call it making movies in our heads,
Yeah.
right? In 1998, I was working as an assistant editor for a local newspaper in Great Neck, Long Island. And I remember my dad had passed in 1995 after 53 years of a beautiful marriage. And my mother was getting ready to sell the house. It's the house where I grew up. And I said, what am I going to do? Where will our home be? And she very simply, my mother was very wise, and she lived to 100 years, 1 month, and 15 days and passed in my arms one night. She had a cough, and we didn't know how bad it was. It was the flu that preceded COVID, like 10 years before. Anyway, the point was, she said, wherever I am is where your home is.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped me in my tracks, and I wrote an editorial for the newspaper based on what she told me, and I still remember that. So thank you, Miriam. That was lovely. Very, very nice quote. Okay, before I get all teary and soppy here, let's move on and talk about teary and soppy. Look what Diane is quoting here. I'm going to go way back in time, Diane. Diane's quote is the title of a song that was written in 1772 as a hymn by a gentleman named John Newton, who was an English Anglican clergyman, abolitionist, and poet. He's the original artist and writer, and there was a tune added later and arranged in 1835 by William Walker, and it is one of the most performed and recorded hymns in the world. It's been recorded by Judy Collins and Elvis Presley, Andrea Bocelli and Alison Krauss, who made a duet, Carrie Underwood, CeCe Winans, the Pentatonics, and the quote is simply 2 words, Amazing Grace. Did you know all that history, Diane?
I didn't, but I love it.
There you go. I'm a fool for research. So I'm putting you on speaker view. Why don't you tell us what this has to do with your creativity, Diane?
Well, I have been blessed. I have had a great life. I've had some knocks. I've had some real knocks in life, but I have always had this inner strength, and I have no idea where it came from other than the fact that I had a fantastic mother, a strong mother, and a strong father. But my mother, she's been gone now for about 15 years, but I think of her so often and I see myself in her. But I have had such a blessed life because I've always had the strength to rise up and resurrect myself. And I have to look to God and say, I've had an amazing life. So I do feel blessed and through amazing grace.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. That's lovely. I think no matter what religion you pursue or you were raised in, it's still a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
song.
Yes, it
And
is.
it is one of the most sung and repeated in the world, and there's a reason for that. So thank you very much. You all pick such wonderful quotes. I appreciate it. All classics. All right, get ready to start crocheting these on pillows, ladies, or somewhere so that we can, it's time for the holidays. Okay, let's go to our creativity statements. I'm going to pick one or two from each of you, and this is where we're going to go into a real round table. I'm going to read two. I'm combining one and two from you, Michelle L. Clifton. What does the L stand for? Would you like to tell us?
Lee.
Lee, Lee or Lee?
Lee. And actually, it's a tradition. It was my grandma's, her mother's middle name, my grandma's middle name, my mom's middle name, my middle name, and my daughter's middle name. So it just continues to go down, firstborn daughter.
Joyous Lee. Okay, there, I had to do that. Okay, I'm going to read these two, and I'd like you to take 2 or 3 minutes to unpack them, as we say on the news or on some of my other shows. And then I'd like to find out if they resonate with Miriam and or Diane. I'm not going to necessarily call you Diane, what do you think? But if you want to just chime in, my rule is I think you all have 10 fingers. I'm really not interested in the count, but one finger I don't respond to, it's the middle one. So you could raise any other finger, wiggle a finger, a nice finger, I call them, on the screen if you want to make a comment, but I still might call on you anyway. So let's find out what we're saying about our own creativity that may or may not resonate with each other. So Michelle says, I write fast-paced, feel-good mysteries with smart heroines. Aha, smart heroines, small town charm, and just enough romance to keep things interesting. And then you say, I create early in the morning before the world wakes up, during afternoon coffee breaks, and sometimes in bursts late at night when an idea refuses to wait. I have never heard it put quite that way, when an idea refuses to wait. So, Michelle, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Tell us a little more, and then we'll see what the other ladies have to say. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I do try to do most of my work first thing in the morning because the world is still asleep. My whole family, everybody's asleep. It's the most peaceful time. I try to sit out on the lanai when the weather's beautiful and just write away. I try not to check email, nothing that will destroy the creativity. So I do that. But then, yes, my characters just call to me all day long. I think they're always in my head talking to me. So if they decide they want to chit chat, we take my coffee break, we do some more because I'm doing the marketing thing in the middle of the day. But the craziest thing, the evening time I was saying, is I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I will hear something that's like, the character should do this, or maybe the story should go this route, or maybe you should write this book. And so then I have to actually either get out of bed and start writing, or at the very, very least, have a little journal by the bed and write those ideas down so I don't lose them.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I have a quote from David Byrne about that, about the little beginnings that usually musicians capture those little beginnings and put them in a file, and then they'll write a song or do something with them later on. But the rest of us, we do that too, don't we? Does anybody else here? Oh, let's go around the table. Miriam, Diane, I see a pleasant finger there. Go ahead, Diane. I'm sorry,
Diane.
that came out wrong.
I definitely can relate to what Michelle just said.
Diane, a little bit louder. We're having a little trouble hearing you.
I can definitely
Good.
relate to what Michelle just said. When I wrote my book, which has a lot of poetry in it, I would wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I kept my phone right next to my bed, and I would immediately write the poem that was just plunging out of my brain. And I knew I had to write it because I would forget it the next day, or a little snip of something that I thought this would work in my book. And I would write it, and then the next day I could fine tune it. But yeah,
Sure.
I can relate to what you said, Michelle.
Yeah. Miriam, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I keep a journal and an idea bank on the computer.
Wait a minute. What's an idea bank? I have to know. Never heard that term. I'm
It's
learning.
a spreadsheet. So I'll put the starter thing like Diane was just talking about, or the idea, the basic concept, and then I might categorize it. So I have a column where I can say, oh, this would be a great blog post, or this would be a great video, or this would be a great marketing idea. And then when I do that kind of creativity at usually first thing in the morning, if I'm working on that kind of thing, I can go to my idea bank and pull something. And often over the course of a few weeks, several ideas will repeat themselves. And so then I know it's time to work on that thing. And I have it from a few different perspectives because it came to me at three or four different points.
Thank you. I never thought of calling it an idea bank. I've started I have 5 series right now, and this is one of my longest running ones. This is the longest running, and then I have Technology Revolution, The Future of Now, and I've got 3 others. And I started the others just on a whim, but sometimes I will make it in a folder for a particular, I'll say new show, new podcast,
Mhm.
new live streaming, and I'll put some ideas in, and then I'll just walk away from it, just leave it there on the computer. And then one
Mhm.
day, if I'm looking for something interesting, or I'm just saying, it's time to break out and let's do something fun, I'll go look at them and then I'll start designing something to go with them, a banner or a poster or a logo or something.
Mhm.
So yes, and I'll read the David Byrne quote later. Michelle, that sparked a nice roundtable. Anything you want to say to about yourself or anything you want to say to the ladies before I move on?
Mostly, Diane, you have your book, and I know your book is more, it's a memoir of sorts, I believe, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a character-based one, obviously, but I was going to say when you're doing fiction writing, the characters do talk to you. They're in your mind, and it's so funny because you want to try to write something, and if they don't like what you're trying to write, they won't talk to you. They go silent. It's like, by the way, we don't like what's going on. Or you'll be writing and they'll come up with an entirely new twist. It's almost like having like 5 people in my head. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a true statement.
It,
They get very attached to the project we're working on together, and they will let you know where to go.
it's not crazy. I call it channeling. I've written some romantic comedy plays, and the characters told me everything, what they looked like, what they dressed like, what their moods were, what they were saying. Diane, go. What do you want to say?
Michelle, I also paint portraits. And what you've just said clicks with me. When I paint someone's portrait, it's almost like I become who they are. And the paintbrush paints them and I feel them. They're me, I am them.
Wow.
And that's interesting that you're saying your characters are talking to you, and it's almost like my portrait is talking to me.
Fascinating. Fascinating. This is why I do the roundtable, because there's so many things that we learn about each other that we're really learning about ourselves. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to Miriam now. Let's see what we can glean from this. And there's something in here I had to put in here, Miriam, and I still don't know what it is fully. Miriam says, sometimes it looks like a lot like 3D Tetris. And you've got to, sorry, I vaguely know how I arrange things in a space. I create peace of mind, knowledge, power, and ease with this process. And then I'm going to add your statement number 4. You say, there is so much unrealized creativity in planning ahead. I imagine it, then I reverse engineer it. I'm going to stop right there. Very, very interesting. Imagining and reverse engineering. Miriam, why don't you unpack this for us, please? Start with the Tetris, please.
I forgot that's what I wrote.
Most people
Um,
do.
okay, so Tetris is the game where you put the shapes together and try to fill in all the spots. So it's a I am able to see in my brain before I place things that things will fit together. And my clients often can't see that. They're just like, it won't fit. And I'm like, yes, it does. I just rearrange it a little bit and there's plenty of room. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's that piece of it. Like I can see the end result in my brain before I actually make it happen, which is similar to reverse engineering. It's like the double gainer of reverse engineering. It's like engineering it forward instead of reverse. But yeah, I can do the same thing. Like, what do you want? What do you need? Let's use Diane's example. When you paint a portrait, what do you need to paint the portrait? You need an image of the person or the person. You need some light. You need some canvas. You need some paint. You don't need hole punches and nail clippers and ice cream and all the other things like
Well, maybe you need a little ice cream, but go ahead.
everybody needs a little ice cream. But what is the essential things you need to do your craft or that task in your life and eliminate all the excess? And then you can do it. And then you can add in nice to haves if you want to. But I think we overwhelm ourselves with too many options. You know, the paradox of choice just messes us up. And having constraints of only the things you need to do the thing makes you more creative. You have to solve problems in a different way because you're only allowed
Yep.
paint and canvas. You aren't allowed embellishments and foil and a video camera or whatever else.
When I got a fancy washing machine when I was a young married, I only used two buttons. It was either the cotton or it was the wash and wear, and that was about it. And I said,
I
"What do I need
still
these
only
other?"
use two. I
Me
only use
too.
it's yeah, two.
Set it and run it. That's it. That's absolutely it. Anyway, very okay. Let's go around the table and see. I love the reverse engineering and the idea of the Tetris in space. And I do have to make a point that this applies more to Michelle than either to Miriam or Diane. But Michelle, I'm sure you are aware that there's something the British call either a pantser or a plotter or a hybrid. Yes. And that's when you're a writer who plans out your book, usually for fiction. But Diane, it could apply to you as well. You plan everything out almost in an outline form. This is the first chapter. This is the last chapter. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and 13. And then you just go in and fill in. So you could fill in chapter 4 after chapter 9 or whatever it is, reverse engineering. But a plot, that's a plotter. A pantser says, I'm just going to write today. I'll just sit down and write 1,000 words. I don't care. It'll be the beginning, the end. I don't care where it is. I'm just going to keep spilling all this stuff that's coming through my head. So pantser, what are you, Michelle? Are you a pantser, plotter, or a hybrid?
I'm a hybrid, and I do the reverse engineering style that Miriam's talking about. I actually create murder boards for my books. That's how I keep track of the clues that I allow to have happen out. So I do a whole corkboard murder board with sticky notes, the whole thing. It's so much fun.
String
What?
too?
With string too. Yes, it is a blast.
Just like on TV.
Yeah, I do. I really do my own little TV murder mystery here. What I do is I do start with a basic outline though. So that's why I'm kind of in the between. A basic outline, I know what the murder is going to be, I know what the motive is, and then I kind of know how I'm going to tie it back into my protagonist. And then my characters help me fill in everything else. But the murder board is how I keep track of everybody because that's how I reverse engineer the mystery.
See, we're finding these threads. We didn't, none of us ever met before, and here we are. Diane, briefly, any comments you want to make about this before I go to your statements?
I don't know what I am. I just write. I mean, it just, my brain just opens up. And my editor said, Diane, I just love your writing. He said, you will be talking about the most sincere, saddest day of your life. And then you crack a joke. And I said, I can't help it. I said, my funny bone's connected to my brain and it slides right out my tongue.
You're a pantser. You're a pantser.
Write.
Yep, you're a pantser or a skirter, maybe. I don't know. Thank you very much, Miriam. That was very, very interesting. I'm going to combine a little bit of 3 of Diane's statements here. So first of all, you said in statement 2, Diane, you said, with my book, I told my editor my goal was not fame or fortune. It was to share my experience in hopes it might help someone else heal after a great loss. That was the first statement. That was 2. 3, you say, I create all the time, whenever and wherever something stirs my heart or catches my imagination. Sometimes it's the middle of the day sitting in my garden and the sight of one of my grandchildren sparks a poem on my iPhone. Sometimes it's late at night. And then the 4th statement I want to add, this is interesting. Diane says, creativity is very comforting and fulfilling. I am always creating something. So I hope you don't mind that I took bits and pieces and put them together, Diane, but I was very intrigued by they just seem to tell a bigger story if I took pieces of these. So Diane, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what this all means to you? Go ahead.
Well, I think I've always been artistic in different ways. I've always said that I can do a lot of things. I'm not perfect at anything, but by golly, I'm good at a lot of things. And so I don't consider myself the best portrait artist, but I'm pretty darn good. I never saw myself as an author until a friend of my husband's asked about something that I had written. And he said, did you write that? And I said, yes. And he said, I think you could write a book. And I said, oh, no way. And he said, I'm going to send your writings to a friend of mine, Greg Lawrence, who's an author in an editor in New York City. And he did. And I said, he's out of my league. And he called me. He said, you had me on the 2nd paragraph.
Wow.
So I think he took what I wrote and made it into a wonderful story. I've read it so many times. I said to him at the very end, I said, I can't imagine anybody paying money for this. I said, this is my story, and I'm tired of reading it myself. But I've had great reviews, great response, and the book is doing well. And I'm just, it's heartwarming to be able to talk to people who've read my book, and they've said thank you, both men and women. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to just be a woman's book. Everybody has expressed pain at one time in their life. We all have loss, and we all need to express it. And
Yep.
this book was very healing for me. I am a funny person. I may not always look funny, but I always have something funny in the back of my brain. Can't help it. But this book helped me pour my heart into it, do a lot of crying, but
Yep.
also a lot of laughing. And my children gave me the greatest compliment. They said, Mom, we just knew when you said you were writing a book that you had a ghostwriter. We read the book and we could hear you, and we know those were your
Oh,
words.
how lovely. How absolutely lovely. When we pour our heart through our words, when our words channel our heart, there's something very real. A lot of people say, be authentic, be yourself. You know, the old quote, be yourself, everybody else is taken. Oscar Wilde. Well, you know what? I call that real deal with a hyphen, real dash deal. I'm tired of the word authentic. Be authentic. Well, what the heck does that mean? Be the real deal. Be who you really are, Diane, and who you really are, Michelle, and who you really are, Miriam. And I think that's when we are at our best. Miriam and Michelle, do you have any comments on what Diane shared about you're putting your heart into your words, and even you, Michelle, with your made up stories? There's got to be your heart's got to be into that. And Miriam, I'm sure when you put your heart into helping your clients see the patterns of their life and figure out their own archaeology, if you will, I got that from one of your statements. You're putting your heart into it. So, Michelle, you want to go first? Comment on Diane. We have a few minutes left. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Actually, being fiction writer, you're creating your characters. It's kind of like having children. You really, really hope the world loves them the way you do. Um, I was at a kids event one time. It was a kids talent show, and there were some talent show pieces that were a little, not the best. But I had this one mother who turned to me and she says, "Some of these are only a mother could love." We laughed. It was funny. It was cute. The kids were putting themselves out there, and you would never say anything to them. But there is a level of that fear when you create anything. I mean, I'm sure it's with painting, with even organizing and hoping that your clients are happy. That imposter syndrome can be difficult to deal with.
Absolutely. I took drum lessons just because I had a friend who was playing the drums, and I said I couldn't be any worse than she is. I'm sorry. I never tell her that. But anyway, I did. And all of a sudden I said, then what am I going to do with this? I'm coming every Saturday. It wasn't very expensive. I said, taking drum lessons, I'm traveling an hour each way. What am I going to do with it? They said, oh, we have a space at it was School of Rock. One of our adult bands needs a new drummer. Do you want to do it? I said, sure. So I started going on Monday nights, and the teacher refused to use my name. And he'd say, she's going to do this, her's going to do that, she's going to do that, they'll do that. It's like, what? Anyway, they made me make up the ending for two very long rock songs, which was crazy because I'd only been taking lessons for 6 weeks. At about 10 weeks, I was on stage at a place called Motor Co. in Durham, North Carolina. They had 9 bands that day. All the parents were there and friends. A friend brought me there, and I was on stage with an 8-piece adult band playing Dream On by Aerosmith.
Wow.
Talk about imposter syndrome. And for the first time ever, one of the lead guitar, turned around to me at the last chord, and he looked at me, raised his guitar in the air. I raised my sticks in the air, and we came down exactly at that nanosecond of precise time. And I said to myself, I am here. I am in. They have accepted me finally. And I went down off stage, and people said, oh, you were really good. How long have you been taking drum lessons? And I said, about 8 weeks. And they said, what? Anyway, got rid of the imposter syndrome. No, it didn't. Anyway, anybody else? Miriam, you want to say something about Diane? And then I'm going to close with a couple of quotes here. Diane, Miriam?
Yeah, I'm just the statement your kids made about we hear you. That is so touching, and so like that's got to be the highest compliment ever. When someone that has put up any kind of resistance about what you're doing or made fun of you at all, even if it's in jest, and with love, and then you show them, that is such a good feeling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Be
I love
yourself.
it.
Be yourself, do your thing, even if somebody else is helping you with your words. So did you use a ghostwriter, Diane? Is that what you were saying?
No,
You didn't. You
no, it
didn't.
was
So
all me.
your kids thought you might have.
Yeah,
Isn't that,
yeah, yeah.
isn't,
In fact, my youngest daughter called me and said, I made a mistake. I took your book on a business trip and I read it on the plane and I burst out crying. And she said, it was so touching, Mom. Uh,
that
so
true?
it was very sweet.
True compliment. That is lovely. Miriam was absolutely right. Okay, I want to read some creativity quotes to all of you, and I think somebody will be surprised because I have a quote from Rapunzel, voiced by Mandy Moore from Tangled, and the quote is, "Venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it." Uh-huh. I think we all agree with that. Then I have a quote from the Rolling Stones, 1969. You all know this one. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you'll get what you need, right? And then the third one, this is dedicated to the three of you. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, played by Billy Burke. We're talking 1939, the original Wizard of Oz fantasy film. You had the power all along, my dear. There you go. And the quote I wanted to read to you from David Byrne, the rock star who was the former head front man of Talking Heads. He was a guest writer on something called How Ideas Happen. It was a podcast written, done by Stephen Johnson. And he says, sometimes I have just the title of a song that comes to me and I write it down and I go, expand on that. I think there's something there. And this is for Idea Bank, Miriam. And also, I have in my computer a whole lot of music ideas that have a melody, a nonsense word melody, awaiting words. But I need something to start with. Hard to start from nothing. I accumulate these very little beginnings. When I come back, I've got something to build on. And then the last comment was, our minds fizz with fragments of ideas, puzzles to ponder, clues on how to fix a problem. Most of us undervalue that chatter. Writers and artists systematically capture the little beginnings. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? So, and then I wanted to read to you I'm in a poetry group, and right now we're in PAD Poem a Day Heaven or Hell, you might think of it. We get a prompt every morning around 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, 4 minutes. Thank you, Jordan. A prompt from Robert Lee Brewer, who's a senior editor at Writer's Digest. It's an online poetry group, and there's just tons of poems. I write 3 a day. I try to write 3 a day. And then we do 1 a day in November and in April, and then the rest of the year we do 1 every Wednesday. So I've got about 700 poems. But I wrote this was an acrostic, and I wrote this in July of 2024, and I dedicate it to all my creatives. I'm going to nod a little bit when I get to the theme is night shift. That was the prompt. So I have a line, NIGHTSHIFT. So listen up. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows, flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. I dedicate that to you, ladies. What'd you think?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Point.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yep, I enjoy acrostics. I'm writing now. I have a little, I use different disappearing nines. I use some formats. Disappearing nines, you know what that is?
No.
Disappearing nine is where the first line of the poem, it doesn't have to rhyme. First line is 9 syllables, and the second line is 8, and then 7, and you go down to 1. It's a challenge, and you sit there counting on your fingers. 9, okay, where's my 8? Do I have a 7? Okay, and people commenting about a year ago, the poets were saying they're in the grocery store and they're tapping their feet on the floor. I have 9, I need 8, I need 7, and we're tapping all the time trying to figure out if we've done the right syllables. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so we have about a minute and a half, and I'm going to close, but don't go away, ladies. We'll stay and talk afterwards. So I closed the show in 2014. That was 11 years ago, with the top 10 tips for women. And I keep these on my shows even when I have all male guests. I think these are pretty fun. But the first one I think you'll enjoy, because the movie about this character wasn't made until last year. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. There you go. Okay. Now, final closing words. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Kiss slowly. Yep. I think, Diane, I think we know about that one, right?
Yes.
Love truly, laugh uncontrollably. Everybody laugh with me. Don't hurt
Come on.
yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Never, ever, you can stop laughing now. Never regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. Ladies, when I was teaching disco in a high school cafeteria on a Formica tabletop before I made them build a wooden stage for me in front of 250 students in my You Should Be Dancing class, I taught with a boyfriend at the time. What a pain that was. He made $4.50 an hour. I made $2.17 because he booked me as his assistant. Hello, that's what adult ed did in those days. Everybody watched. I had some legs and I never fell, but they were all watching. Okay, dance like no one's watching. I wanted them to watch. Sing like nobody's listening. I tried not to sing today. I didn't sing too much. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regrow, regenerate, regroove. Come back and learn to love again. Money talks, chocolate sings. La! I allow myself to do that every week, Michelle. And last but not least, Radio Red says, thank you for turning me on. And I stole that line from somebody else, and I'm going to play the outro.
On Read My Lips
Okay,
Radio,
let's
producer
dance
and
a little
host,
more.
aka Radio Red,
Dance with me.
invites you to eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart, savvy, creative people as she discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration, when creativity first became their passion, and how their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think
of us.
out of the box.
Out of the box.
Enjoy, aka
That's
Radio
me.
Red's always lively,
Lively,
cool conversations with
conversations.
creatives. Oh, how those lips can talk.
Thank you, Ryan Treasure, and thank you to Jordan, our engineer on the Voice America Media Empowerment Channel. I'm aka Radio Red. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you to Miriam. Thank you to Diane. Everybody wave goodbye. We're going to say goodbye.